beginning how?
For. But how then shall we continue to act at all?
Right. I think we have read it, no?
No.
If you have read it,
Yeah,
I
we
will
have
read
read
it. Yeah. Okay.
We read it, now we have to go through it.
Okay, right. I agree. So I'm reading each. Today we can finish the the chapter. And next chapter will be the sacrifice. Sacrifice is a huge, 2 chapters, nearly 70, 80 pages. It's a very, very important concept. We'll discuss that when we come to it. Now, I start reading the, but how then shall we continue to act at all? Because he says that when you surrender yourself and you come out of the body mind life, you feel that you are not acting at all. You are absolutely immutable. The action is going on in the body mind life, but you are not acting. But then how do you act in the physical world? Chandra is asking. If you feel yourself disconnected with your body mind life, how will you act using the body mind life? Because you're not connected with it. It's a very practical question. We can't understand that because we have not had the experience. But you can understand, if I have a car, I can go wherever I want. I can act. I can go wherever. If I don't have the car, how will I move? So that's what he's asking. Your body mind life is the car, and you have to act in the world with your body mind life. You can't act when your consciousness is there, inactive. So that's a question he's asking, very practical one. For ordinarily, the human being acts because he has a desire or feels a mental, vital, or physical want or need. But when you are in the self, when you are in the higher mind level, out of your body mind life, there is no desire, no ego, no pushing for anything. You are absolutely immutable, simply looking on objectively, without any desire, without any wantings. So, how do you act? He is driven by the necessities of the body, by the lust of riches, honors, or fame, or by craving for the personal satisfactions of the mind, the heart, or a craving for power or pleasure. We all have motives when we want to act. But if motives disappear, how are you going to act? That's what he is going to explain to us. Or he is seized and pushed about by a moral need, or at least the need or the desire of making his ideas or his ideals or his will or his party or his country or his gods prevail in the world. Now, this is interesting. He's saying that when you have desires and wants, then you do that. But suppose somebody is slightly more subtle, okay? He doesn't have any desires, but still, for instance, take Sriramdo fighting for his country, okay? He's not having a personal desire, but the desire is much larger, okay? So still there is a desire. That's what he's explaining. Okay? There are very petty and personal desires, but there are also desires for ideals. Okay? I want my country to win. I'm not for myself, nothing to do with me, but I want my country to win. I want my brother to succeed. You're thinking of others. You're thinking of mm, others. So that also is a desire. It's a slightly better desire than for your own self, but still it's a desire. That's what he's saying. Or he has started the sentence with, or he sees the normal man who is in the who is identified with the body mind life and pushed about by a moral need, or at least the need of it or the desire of making his ideas or his ideals or his will or his party or his country or his gods prevail in the world. Now, or his God, each one we can give an example. Huh? The need of the desire for making his ideas or his ideals. No, ideas, I insist that everybody must understand the way I understand. Okay? And this is very common. There are many people who insist that everybody should understand instead of those ways. But it is better not to do any propaganda. Let them evolve by themselves and come to the ideas. Or his ideals. I have an ideal. Okay? I want this to happen. So, the ideal of justice or idea of India should go back to the its own culture. These are all ideas. Or his will. Now, or his party. Okay, you want your party to succeed. It's not a personal thing. Okay, you want your party. Party could be political party, or it could be even a non-political party, or his country. The best example is Aurobindo. Okay, fighting for his country. But still, when you are fighting for the country, you expect the result. So there is a desire, but which is far, far noble, more noble than a personal desire. But yet it's a desire. Or is gods prevail in the world? Gods prevail in the world is the best example in the Islamic terrorism. You must accept my God, nobody else. Even the Christians do that more subtly. They don't go about killing people with a sword. But they also do the same. You must accept Christ, otherwise you can't get liberation. Prevail in the world. So each one he is given, we have given examples for each one. If none of these desires, nor any other, must be the spring of our action, it would seem as if all incentive or motive power has been removed, and action itself must necessarily cease. You are not you. There cannot be any action. Now Gita comes out with a third great secret. The Gita replies with its third great secret of the divine life. All action must be done in a more and more Godward and finally a God-possessed consciousness. The normal condition you can't do. But if you go to God and God possesses you, then action in the physical world is possible. How? By Nishkama Karma. Our works must be a sacrifice to the divine. We do the works for the divine and not for ourselves. At our level, when we are identified completely with our body, mind, life, you can only try, okay, but it's never perfect. We can try to everything that we do, eating, sleeping, going to work, okay, even treating a patient like doctors do, or even operating, everything you first offer to the divine. I don't think there's anything wrong even in asking for a small amount of success. Let my operation be successful because you are linking your action to the divine. So, although it is better not to do that, still you can ask for success also if you think of God. There are gradations there also. Then you.
Ranganath, here
Yeah,
is the
tell me.
third great secret. Third great secret. What are the first two?
Yeah, I'll tell you at the end of the. Okay, I'll tell you right now. The first one is equality, samata. Okay? The second is the renunciation of desire. You renounce all desires. And the third action is the sacrifice to the Lord. These are the three things. Okay? So he has told you earlier, this is one of the difficulties with Shyam, those he doesn't repeat what he has said. So the first one is equality, samata, complete calmness in the being, no disturbance at all. Second, renunciation of desire for the fruits in works. Do the work without expecting result. Almost impossible for us when we do something, we naturally expect results. Because at our level, if we try to do work without expectation of results, we may not be so much interested and it may be very imperfect work. But you have to do the best work possible, but not expect any fruits. This is possible only when you go to the self. If you are in the normal consciousness, very, very difficult. But all effort can certainly be made. Nishkama karma. And the third great secret of the Gita is sacrifice to the Lord. Do everything for the Lord. The first one, samatha, there is no question of sacrifice to the Lord. You are just remaining calm and quiet. Because without being calm and quiet, you cannot get the other two. Okay? Renunciation of desire can come only when there is quietness in the being. Because when you are having a desire or an action, are you absolutely equal in your calm? No, you are not. You are expecting a result. There is disturbance in the being. Oh, will my desire succeed? how will I get my desire done? You are thinking of all sorts of things. So there is no equality, there is no complete calmness in the being. So the second one is do the thing without expecting desire. Nishkama karma. And the third is sacrifice to the Lord. Okay, so we go back to our text. The Gita replies with its third great secret of divine life. All action must be done in a more and more Godward and finally a God-possessed consciousness. So, Surendra is so particular. More and more, he knows that when you are identified in a novel consciousness with the body, mind, life, it is not possible. That's why he's saying more and more. There's a gradation. The more you try, the more you will succeed. All action must be done in a more and more. He could have eliminated more and more, but then you would have not understood what he's saying. Okay?
Ranganath,
See,
is
yeah, tell.
no, first one is samatha, second one is nishkama karma. In Sanskrit,
Yes.
what is the third one? Sacrifice for Lord?
Yajna.
Huh?
Yajna is the word. Yajna.
Yajna. Okay.
Yeah, they use the word yajna only. That's why Surendra is using the word sacrifice.
Okay. Okay.
Other words, when you are doing a yajna, okay, when you are reciting mantras and throwing ghee in fire and all that, that's the image, okay. But you are invoking the divine, isn't it? When you are doing a yajna, you are invoking the divine. So when you are doing something, you have to use the same. This sacrifice is a very complex idea, and we'll come to that because sacrifice normally, that will be the next chapter. We'll discuss that in great detail. But the word sacrifice in English, there are so many other implications and so many things that it's not very easy. But the Sanskrit word is yajna.
Okay.
We will call it
Yeah,
yajna.
sacrifice has a negative connotation, no, in English.
Yes, that's right. That's what I'm
Because
saying.
it is done by force. Whether offering can't be replaced by that?
Yes, you can
Sacrifice
say,
and
but
offering.
I would rather say self-offering.
Self-offering, yes.
You don't offer a fruit or even that is okay, or a leaf or a. But best sacrifice is a self-offering. That is what is meant by the dedication. You dedicate everything to the Lord. Okay. So, see, I'm going to explain now more. Our works. What is meant by Nishkama karma? Our works must be a sacrifice to the divine. You do everything. Someone mentioned just now this has got a negative connotation. At our level, when we sacrifice something, we feel that, oh, okay, I'm in a very generous mood and I will give away what I have, very precious thing, because someone is asking me, I'll give it away. But there's a little bit of a twinge in the being. Oh, I have lost something. Suppose I've got a beautiful watch on my hand, okay, or I've got a lovely pen, and a student comes and says, oh my God, where did you get this pen? I've been wanting it for so many days. Then you give it to him in a generous spirit. But you feel a pinch somewhere. You have lost something. But this loss is not felt at all in the offering to the Lord. It is bound to happen. In the beginning, you will feel a pinch. Okay. That's why you may not even give. But ultimately, you have to give everything. In the prayers and meditations book of the mother, right in the first pages, in the frontispiece, there is mother has written about things. Some offer their wealth to the divine, some offer their emotions and thoughts to the divine, but there are some who offer themselves fully to the divine. And to them, the divine gives himself fully. Remember that prayer, Radha's prayer? Mother is saying, each drop of my blood is given to you. That should be the type of surrender. Very difficult in normal conditions, but that's an ideal. You should be able to reach that condition. To a certain extent, you can see that, okay, when Shiva is obeying what he's been told to do, okay, go to Chandranagar without a second thought, he goes there. Then from there, after 1 month, go to Pondicherry. And he does that without food, without clothes, without anything. He manages to go. Okay. Everything gets arranged for him. And he comes to Pondicherry, no money, no food, nothing. Okay? Can we do that? My God, unbelievable when you think of the circumstances. But sometimes the divine will also test you. In fact, that's what happened to Surendra. You know, in the beginning, there used to be a shortage of, sometimes shortage of money, shortage of food, shortage of clothes. He's writing to Motilal Roy in Chandranagar. Send us clothes, send us shoes. Okay, we don't have any. Send your normal monthly money also. That used to be mm, about 50 rupees at that time. 50 rupees was a large amount at that time. It would take care of all your needs. Because if you remember, all of you are quite now old, but if you remember, some of the things you could buy even for paisa, not the modern paisa, but the rupees, 16 annas, and then each anna also was divided into 6 paisa with a copper coin with a hole in it, if you remember. And you could buy things for even 2, 3 paisa. So 50 rupees
Yes.
was quite quite
Yeah,
a
5
big amount.
paisa, 10 paisa. Yeah, I remember.
I have all the collection.
Yeah. I
5
think
paisa and 10 paisa.
in 1965, the Naya Paisa was brought in, and the old
Hmm.
Paisa was, yeah, it was the, what is called the decimal system. In the old one, it was not decimal system. It is with 16. 16 annas, 1 rupee. Okay, we come back to our text. So, our works must be a sacrifice to the divine. And in the end, a surrender of all our being. This is at the end. That's what I just now told you about Mother's prayer. No, not prayer, it is in frontispiece. She says, some give their money to the divine, some give their physical offerings to the divine, some give their thoughts and feelings and all. But those who give themselves fully, that's what they're referring here. And in the end, a surrender of all our being. And what is that? Mind, will, heart, sense, life, and body. So the one must make God love and God service our only motive. You can imagine how difficult it is going to be. But that's the ideal. This transformation of the motive force and the very character of works is indeed its master idea. Do everything for the Lord and nothing for yourself, nothing for others also. You may feel, I'm not doing for myself, I'm doing for others. So it is very good. It is good relatively, but it's not good spiritually. Even that must be surrendered. It is the foundation of its unique synthesis. It is the Gita. Okay, Gita's idea, master idea. The master idea is the foundation of its unique synthesis of works, love, and knowledge. This is what that's why Surendra calls it the synthesis. Okay. He talks of many syntheses. He says that the Vedic period was synthesis because they did not, different meanings for synthesis. In the Vedic period, they did not reject the physical world and expected God. So that was the synthesis. Acceptance of this God and the world. That was the idea. But then in the Gita, Tantra also does not reject the physical world. Okay? They include it. Then Gita is slightly different. Gita is they are combining Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. That's why it's a synthetic idea. And Sremdo is combining the Vedic idea as well as the Gita's idea. That means the first one, he is accepting God and the physical world, which is Vedic. And the second one, he wants the yoga to be Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. So it is a double synthesis. The Vedic is a single synthesis, and the Gita is also a single synthesis in that sense, because slightly different meaning. But in Sremdo's integral yoga, it's a double synthesis. Acceptance of the Vedic synthesis as well as the Gita synthesis. This transformation of the motive force and very character of works is indeed its master idea. It is the foundation of a unique synthesis of works, love, and knowledge. In the end, not desire, but the consciously felt will of the eternal remains as the sole driver of our action and the sole originator of its initiative. Whatever you do, you are not doing anymore, the divine is doing through you. And your consciousness has become God possessed. You possess God and God possesses you. Therefore, there is no difference between your will and the divine will. And whatever has to be done is done by the divine. Now, that is a very interesting question. I'll give you two examples. Okay. Now, suppose I make a prayer to Mother. Now, she grants that prayer. Is she granting at a personal level, or is it the divine who is doing it through her? There could be a gradation also, huh? Because there is a human aspect also to the avatar, and there is a divine aspect to the avatar. So it could be, but all personal aspects in the avatar are also supported by the divine. I remember one person was in great difficulty. In fact, my own father, I can tell you, he was in difficulty, and in fact, I wrote a letter to Mother and explained his difficulty. And then she told my sister, she told her, he deserves the divine grace because he had tremendous emotional attachment to Mother and Father. So she said, she deserves, okay, he deserves the divine grace. And very soon he got out of the trouble. So the Mother is granting at a personal level, which is supported fully by the divine. Then the other one, very interesting also, a couple came to Ravan Maharshi and they told that we have now for 12 years, we have not had a child, but we want you to bless us so that we get a child. And the next year itself, they got the child. So, what is it? Is he granting personally or is he granting from that higher level? It could be a combination of both. Because after all, you have a human part and you have also they are linked. There's a connection. But that connection itself can be graded. There can be a thin connection. There can be a much more than average connection. Or there can be no connection at all because the divine himself is working through you. So there also the very clearly a gradation is
But
interesting,
sometimes,
isn't it? Yeah, tell me.
sometimes Gangada, unless and otherwise we ask the divine, no, that we need this, they will not do by themselves. No, it is something like that. No, we have to at least give one application, one appeal, a request should be there. Then they will do
Okay.
it. Otherwise,
Okay.
it will be their karma, means doer.
No, Shilpa, what you're saying is very interesting, but I could approach the divine in two ways. Mother, I have this problem, please solve it for me. They'll do it if you deserve the action and it is good for your soul, they will do it. But suppose you go to the divine and say, please take care of my life entirely. I am not asking you for any one limited thing, but you do for me whatever has to be done. Then naturally they will do it for you.
But I should have that much patience at that time.
Of
That
course.
divine will do.
That's right. And that's not easy. That means full surrender. Either it's a full surrender or a partial surrender. Yeah. Okay. So we come to the last small.
Rangadhar, Rangadhar,
Tell me.
I didn't understand the difference between Vedic synthesis and Gita synthesis.
Okay. Vedic synthesis is that they are not rejecting the physical world. They are accepting the divine and also the physical world. Whereas in the other yogas, Jnana Yoga, they are not accepting the physical world. Okay? In Bhakti Yoga also, there is a tendency to reject the physical world. No? The ascetic is rejecting the physical world. He is reaching the divine consciousness, but without that's Vedic synthesis. In the Vedic period, there was no running away from the physical world. So they are accepting the highest and the lowest, the planes of existence. Is it clear now?
Yeah.
No, but Rangada, how is it different from Gita's synthesis?
Because there is
Because
no
Gita
yoga.
also says
in the Gita, there is no yoga. In the Vedic period, there is no description of any yogas. It's only experiences. Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas here, it's a processes. The processes, and they are saying, the Gita is saying, use all the processes. Combine all the processes. Because the Bhakti Yoga is not combining Jnana Yoga. The Jnana Yoga is not combining Bhakti Yoga. But all can reach the divine because they are all through different doors, different entries. But the Gita is saying, do all. So that is what Srimad is saying. But he is also, of course, the Gita's synthesis does admit that you have to work in the physical world. That is true. Because as I said, it speaks of doing works and being in the physical world like a lotus leaf in water. In other words, you are remaining in the physical world. But the Gita does not have the concept of the supermind. That is a great difference. That is one of the biggest differences between the Gita and Sri Aurobindo philosophy. He goes one step more. He says, not only I accept that the divine and matter are essentially, they are both to be accepted, but I say that matter itself also is going to be divinized and the divine is there even in matter. So one more step, that's a supermind. So not only he has an idea, but he actually gets the thing done. Okay, the practical aspect is fantastic. If you think about it, that's the main difference. Other than Sri Aurobindo, to all the trouble and did all the hard work, God's labor, if you remember. And they brought down the supermind and planted it in matter. Now it's only a question of time when that plant will become a reality. Now it's clear the two differences.
Yeah, but generally, we are a mix. We do all the yogas, no, generally, normally, because you have all the sides in you. You have the bhakti part in you. You have the gnan part. I mean, a little bit of everything we have.
That's true. Potentially everything is there, yes. But it depends on individual nature. Na? Some people may be more inclined for intelligence, so they'll do Jnana Yoga. Some people are more emotionally inclined. So it depends entirely. That will be discussed in this next chapter, the sacrifice. Similarly saying, you don't need to do all the three yogas together. That's not always possible because it depends on the nature. So you can start with anyone without forgetting that you have to do all the three. So it is not that all are equally one third, one third, one third. It's not like that. Okay. You can begin with one, but keeping in mind fully that the others are not to be rejected but also used. The other yogas. Okay. So I go to the last para. Equality, renunciation of desire for the fruits of our works, action done as a sacrifice of the Supreme Lord of our nature and of all nature. These are the three first Godward approaches in the Gita's way of karma yoga. They are the first three Godward approaches. These are the means, the methods. And once you have reached the divine, equality is not necessary, no effort is needed. Renunciation of desire is not needed. Sacrifice also is not needed because you become what you want to be. Somebody. That
But
completes
this is the summary. What we were discussing now.
Exactly.
This is it comes here. Whatever we discuss, it comes here.
That's right. That's why it's such a short paragraph. Equality, renunciation of desire for the fruit of works, number 2. Number 3, action done as a sacrifice for the Supreme Lord of our nature and all nature. These are the 3 first Godward approaches in the Gita's way of karma yoga. There are many who read the Gita, but they don't see the synthetic aspect of the Gita. Somebody says, it was even Bal Gangadhar Tilak who said that the Gita is karma yoga. Then there are others who say Gita is Jnana yoga because it tells you even how to sit in posture and how to even breathe. Think of the tip of the nose see the breath coming out. So all great details are there. Keep your spine absolutely erect. Okay. Don't sit on a very low, don't sit on the ground, don't sit on something too high. Huge amount of details are there. Sit on a soft cushion because all the physical difficulties must be removed, and then you do the breathing. And make the in breathing and the out breathing equal. Okay, all these details are there. So many think that it is Jnana Yoga. But then the Bhakti Yoga is also greatly emphasized in the. So each one is thinking that is the important thing. Surendra is the only one who says, no, it's a combination of all. Okay, so that completes the self-surrender in works. Now, as I told you, the next two chapters, chapter 4 and chapter 5, are dealing with the sacrifice and the triune path. The triune path is exactly what we saw: Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga. So it's a very big two things, and he has given a ascent of a sacrifice also is there, and ascent of sacrifice too. 1 second. This is 3 chapters on sacrifice, and we'll have to discuss the sacrifice also. We'll do that just now a little bit, but you have to think about it, because sacrifice, just now, we have to understand some things which don't seem to be related to sacrifice. So we'll discuss that. Right? So it is starting from page 99, say let us say 100, and it goes up to 176. So nearly 80 pages sacrifice. Application of the principle of sacrifice to Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Karma Yoga. These are the 3 chapters. So 80 pages will take a long, long time to finish it, but it goes into great detail. So the first para itself explains to you the concept of what is the sacrifice. Okay. This is he's again leaning on the Gita to explain that. So we'll read the first para, and then we'll have to discuss it, because you have to bring another idea altogether to understand what is sacrifice. Normally, when we understand sacrifice, as we said just now, we can understand in 2 ways. I give away something in a generous spirit, but I have a little pinch. Oh, I have lost something. Okay, that is it. The first one. That's a normal idea of sacrifice. The second idea of sacrifice, and this little pinch can be something quite different. Because if I am a patriot, I don't mind even giving up my life for the nation. So sacrifice can be a very small sacrifice, or it can be a very great sacrifice also, like sacrificing your very life. And it can also be the sacrifice in the Gita. It can be a whole gradation of ideas in the sacrifice. But what is meant by sacrifice in the Gita is what we will discuss a little bit today. And you'll have to think a lot about it. It's quite complicated, okay? But we'll see. So I think we've got enough time today to read the first para. Okay? It's about little more than a page. So, shall we read it? One of you has to read.
I can read.
Go ahead.
The sacrifice, the triune path, and the Lord of the sacrifice. The law of sacrifice is the common divine action that was thrown out into the world in its beginning as a symbol of the solidarity of the universe. It is by the attraction of this law that a divinizing, a saving power descends to limit and correct and gradually to eliminate the errors of an egoistic and self-divided creation. This descent, this sacrifice of the Purusha, the divine soul submitting itself to force and matter so that it may inform and illuminate them, is the seed of redemption of this world of inconscience and ignorance. For with sacrifice as their companion, says the Gita, the All-Father created these peoples. The acceptance of the law of sacrifice is a practical recognition by the ego that it is neither alone in the world nor chief in the world. It is its admission that even in this much fragmented existence, there is beyond itself and behind that which is not its own egoistic person, something greater and completer, a diviner all a diviner all which demands from it subordination and service. Indeed, sacrifice is imposed and where need be compelled by the universal world force. It takes it even from those who do not consciously recognize the law. Inevitably, because this is the intrinsic nature of things. Our ignorance or our false egoistic view of life can make no difference to this eternal bedrock truth of nature. For this is the truth in nature that this ego, which thinks itself a separate, independent being and claims to live for itself, is not and cannot be independent nor separate, nor can it live to itself even if it would, but rather all are linked together by a secret oneness. Each existence is continually giving out perforce from its stock, out of its mental receipts from nature or its vital and physical assets and acquisitions and belongings, a stream goes to all that is around it. And always again, it receives something from its environment in return for its voluntary or involuntary tribute. For it is only by this giving and receiving that it can effect its growth, while at the same time it helps the sum of things. At length, though at first slowly and partially, we learn to make the conscious sacrifice. Even in the end, we take joy to give ourselves and what we envisage as belonging to us in a spirit of love and devotion to that which appears for the moment other than ourselves and is certainly other than our limited personalities. The sacrifice and the divine return for our sacrifice then become a gladly accepted means towards our last perfection. For it is recognized now as the road to the fulfillment in us of the eternal purpose.
Okay, so this is the explanation of this sacrifice, the yajna. But it's a pretty complex thing, so you have to get some basic idea. So that basic idea is you have to go back to the one becoming the many. Okay? The one becoming the many. The divine manifests him in the physical world and he manifests himself in spiritually, he is creating all the souls. His one over soul becomes individual souls in the divine. And that's why each individual soul is essentially divine. But 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 with a different character. Each soul is different. It's not this essentially the same, but with a different character. Just like on a tree, for instance, okay, all the mangoes are essentially mangoes. Their essence is the same. If you eat any two mangoes, three mangoes, or whatever, essentially the experience will be the same. Sweetness and the fragrance and the taste will be the same. But each one is different. The size can be different, the color can be slightly different, the taste also may slightly differ, but essentially it's all the same. So all the human souls are essentially divine, but with a different nature. Okay. So, but each soul then is independent of the others, or are they all connected? That's a question. So when they are all connected, even science has recognized that the whole world is a synthetic whole. It's all connected. Okay, they they have understood that. They what happens in one place happens in another place. They explain in a different way, but there's a connectedness. Okay? Everything is connected. So if the connection is there, can I behave as though I am independent and separate from everybody else and I can do everything for myself only? That is what the ego tries to do. But will it succeed? It won't. So that is the idea that the sacrifice, you have to live in harmony with everybody else. And that is being imposed on you, whether you like it or not. So if you do it in a very happy spirit, giving yourself and receiving happily from others, that is the best way. That is the essential idea, starting point of the sacrifice. When you give, you receive. When you don't give, you don't receive. And this is something so fundamental, it goes from the most physical to the most subtle and spiritual. Okay? The most subtle and spiritual is the you give yourself to the divine, he will give himself entirely to you. But here I must make a slight caution. So you may feel that, oh, only if I give myself to him, he gives me. So is that a sort of commerce? That you must not understand in that way. What you have to understand is when you are giving yourself, you are opening your doors to him. Then if your doors are closed, if you don't give yourself to him, the doors are closed. So how will he come in? He can't. So when you are giving yourself, you are opening your doors. And according to the amount of opening in the door, he will come in. So what you give, you will receive. You have to understand it that way. That's a supreme sacrifice. Okay. But in the physical world, does the sacrifice also exist? Yes. Because as the Americans say, there is no free lunch in the universe. Okay. You have to pay for everything. Okay. So if you go to a shop, I want a watch, but I have to pay money. So there is also a giving and a receiving. This is also, I'm giving you very interesting and very crude examples, but you can see that the law of sacrifice is constantly there. Okay. Now, if I don't make any phone calls, okay, I will get very few phone calls, like me. I don't get too many phone calls because I don't initiate too many phone calls. Now, if I give birthday presents left and right to everybody, they will also feel obliged to give it to me. So, how much you are giving, you are receiving. Okay? This is the basic idea of sacrifice. I've given you the crudest examples and I've given you the highest examples. Okay? So, this is a law that operates in the physical universe. Okay? Everything you have to pay for it. This is the basic idea. And when the divine has made, now we go back to that. This is the basic idea, remember, that there's a connectedness. And connectedness insists that you can't act as though you are separate from everybody else. You have to, the ego has to disappear and you have to realize that you are all connected. Does not an individual require a teacher? Does he not require a doctor? Does he not require servants? Does he not require food from the universe? So everything is connected. You can't live as though you are completely separated. And it's very interesting what happens when you are not part of the universe. Okay, it's very interesting. I'll make a slight diversion to make you see how this is there. Okay? You need society. You need everything around you. If you don't, you can't become developed. I don't know if you have heard about it, but in the 1930s, okay, there was a very strange phenomenon which took place, and now more and more details of that is coming out everywhere, that a little boy was stolen. Sometimes animals steal, okay, babies. It happens. Monkeys sometimes also take away babies. This particular thing happened it's a fact, huh? It's not made up. The wolves took away a small child, okay, and the case is known as Ramu the Wolf Boy. If you go to the internet and type Ramu the Wolf Boy, you will get all the details. Okay? This child was taken away by wolves and he was raised as a wolf's child. Okay? So what happens? You are not in society anymore. You can't develop yourself. You become at a much, much lower level like an animal. He was eating raw meat. He was going on all fours. There was no language and he was using only the sound that a wolf makes. So I give this example to show you that you need society. If you don't need society, you will not benefit in any way. So this is the constant interchange has to be there. Okay. So, that's why, but when we discuss these things, it seems to have nothing to do with the spiritual sacrifice. But the basic idea is the interconnectedness of everything. And if you want to recognize the interconnectedness, obviously you have to limit your ego, and the ego has to be kept in control. And finally, the ego has to be completely thrown away. Then you get the maximum benefit. That's what Sridhar is saying. Now we'll come back to the, I think we'll do the detailed study next time, but I am just giving you the phrase from the Bhagavad Gita, which is translated here. His translation is like this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 9, 10 lines from the in the middle. For this is actually quoted. Okay, he's putting quote marks. With sacrifice as their companion, says the Gita, the All Father created these peoples. He created the many. The All Father is the one, and he creates all the many. Okay, this is what he's saying, and it is from the chapter 3, verse 10 of the Bhagavad Gita. Sahayajya praja srishtva parovacha prajapati. The All Father is Prajapati. Prajapati, the Lord of the peoples. Prajapati. Okay. Anena prasavishyadvam. Grow by this law. That's what he's saying. Okay. And then you can also, there's a reference to the Kamadhuk. The Kamadhuk is the one who gives you all the Kama, your desires. It fulfills all your desires. There is two ideas. One is a Kamadhuk and the other is a Kalpataru, the tree that grants all that you want, it gives you. So Kamadhuk also is the divine heavenly cow which gives you all your desires. Okay. So if you go into a total egolessness, then this becomes a fact. You get everything that you need. That again refers back to the Ashtasiddhis. There is in the Ashtasiddhis, which are the 8 siddhis that a yogi attains, there is this Kama Vashayitva, that Vashayitvam, the bringing to control of all your kamas. You get everything that you want automatically. Shrivanga also mentions that in his consciousness. He says consciousness has got 3 powers when you become master of consciousness. One is you can get whatever you want. Okay, that's back to this Gita's. You can get whatever you want when you become the consciousness. You reach the highest consciousness. Then you can know whatever you want. All the knowledge becomes available to you. You can know whatever you want. First, you can get what you want. Second, you can know what you want. And the third is you can become what you want. Identity, desire. So this is what is being said in this one. It's all connected, all these ideas. So the basic idea of sacrifice is you are not alone in the world. There is a connectedness. And the more you recognize that connectedness, the more you will benefit. This is the basic idea. So next time we'll go into each sentence and see what is it. Okay, so keep this in mind. The two ideas are not, the origin of the idea of sacrifice does not seem to be so connected with the ultimate sacrifice as we know it in a spiritual context. But the basic idea is the connectedness of the universe, and you have to recognize the connectedness of the universe. Only when you give, you receive. This is the basic idea. It's a very important idea because it gets application in everything, even in economics. Okay, I think we'll stop here today, and the next time we'll redo the first chapter paragraph.